Hey everyone, Jay here. This week's video, I thought I would talk to you about drill bits. Often people come into the showroom and are a little confused. We do obviously offer classes that will take you through the entire thing, but I thought I'd just give you a bit of a broad overview of things to look for when you're purchasing a drill and what to look for when you're buying drill bits. So first of all, number one, your machine is paramount. It's really important to buy a professional machine that can be serviced correctly. The reason is that they're going, not only are you going to have the support, but you are going to have a machine that is designed to work on the fingernails. My machine over here is about 15 years old, and I paid $1,200 for it back in the dark ages of time, and it's still a workhorse. It's been serviced once. It has a really good basic handpiece. It has a lock-in collet, which basically means where the bit goes in, and you can put a bit into the collet. Oh wait, it's actually open. So lock-in collet means that it locks in and it's absolutely secure in there. It runs concentrically, which means the bit doesn't wobble as it runs, and it has a variable speed. So I can turn it slightly up, slightly down, depending on the client's needs at the time or the nail's needs at the time. So that's very important to me. It has continuous torque, which basically means it's got that oomph when you need a bit of extra power. It's not going to go as you're working on the nail. And the other thing that's important to me is that I can get it to work at very, very low potential. So that means the machine will actually run very, very slowly. So if you need more advice on machines, check with our showroom. But I'd highly recommend reputable brands like Cooper or even Escort. We sell the sort of no-name Escort brand, and it's a good workhorse. It has all the right things that you need in it. So that's number one, is your machine. Number two is the bits, and there are so many bits, just like there are so many files out there, hand files, there are so many bits, and they're all varying quality of bits. So I'm just going to talk you through a couple of the different things that bit shapes and whatnot, and then I will give you the highlights. But if you need more, ask or pop into a class. Okay, so the first combo is your mandrel drill bit, and the mandrel is the housing to the sanding band or arbor band. It might help if I had this prepared. Here's one I prepared earlier. So basically these little sanding bands are exactly like a nail file, but they're in a little cylinder like this, and they click onto the, it'd be nice if I did that with generosity, but anyway, it just slides on. The sanding bands come in coarse, medium and fine, and they're disposable. So the good part about these is that they're disposable, so you don't have to worry about cleaning them, and they're really good for removing gel because gel doesn't soak in acetone, so gel can sometimes wreck your drill bits if you're not careful, and they're an abrasion type bit, so they rub the surface of the nail just like an ordinary standard nail file does. So that's your mandrel and your sanding band. Don't sanitize these, they rip off, and actually there's like a thing that goes around it, and basically you pick it off at one side and peel it around to get it off, because after you've used it you just can't get the blessed things off, so you have to just peel them around. Okay, so they're probably my least favourite, but there certainly is a place for sanding bands. The reason that they're my least favourite is they have quite a large circumference once you put it on, and it can be quite big, so if you have a tiny little nail you can't really see what you're doing as well. So that's the sanding bands. So then you have two other main types. You have diamond bits, or you have carbide bits. Diamond bits are braid, and carbide bits shave. So carbides work like a plane, like your dad's plane was planing the door, and the wood comes off like that. So if you actually look at some drill particles that you've used with a carbide, they'll be like that. So they've been shaved off. With the diamond bits, they are braid. Now, not all diamond is diamond. There are synthetic diamonds and there are real diamonds. We know that diamonds are a girl's best friend, but they're also the strongest on the market. So diamond bits vary in quality. Sometimes they're synthetic, sometimes they use synthetic sapphire, but you want to look for one that has authentic real diamond particles on it. And there are two ways that the particles are adhered. One is that they get a blank, like the mandrel, put the bits down, put glue on it, and roll it into the glue, and then the bits stick. And those are the cheaper bits. The downside of that is that sometimes there might be a tiny little particle that sticks out wrong, and then you get a mark in. And the other thing is that as you start to use it, the particles start coming off. So I don't recommend glued, cheap bits. I recommend that you buy quality bits. They will last you. And of course, my favourite are the Charisma and the Cooper bits. They really stand apart. So the other way that the particles are adhered is that they are electromagnetically adhered. So basically, they put a charge on it. I'm sure they don't do it like this, but it's my understanding of it, so that they put a charge on it and all the bits get attracted to. Once the charge comes off, the particles are actually stuck and they don't come off. So those particles stay on for a really long time, and that's why you pay more for a quality bit. Diamonds and the way that it's stuck on. The other thing is that the other thing that you'll pay for as well is hand finishing. So all of the Charisma bits are hand finished. So if I run this is a brand new bit, if I run my finger along like that, there's no way that I could cut anybody, because there is a very fine line where there is no particles. So if I get up close to the cuticle, there's no particles there that could cause damage to the person's skin. So it's safer. So they're going to last long. You might pay more, but they'll last longer. Okay, so then with the carbide bits, they come in all different styles, and they have these flutes in them. Generally, the flutes work in one direction. So it's good to work with the bit, in harmony with the bit, and work in one direction. Sometimes I'll roll back, but I won't use it to roll. Some bits like this one, I don't know if you can see it, this one has flutes that go in both directions. So then when you go from side to side, it will work in both directions. They're really cool as well. It's one of my favourite bits, just by the way. And then some of them are made of metal. This one is metal, but it's gold plated. This one is stainless steel. And then others that you can buy are also ceramic. So the ceramic bits are kind of cool. Actually, they tend not to be quite as hot, a little bit gentler, but I think that you can't really go past a standard carbide bit. Okay, so that's the main difference between the bits, but then there's different shapes of the bits, and they all do different jobs. So I'm going to really fast, just zip through the different shapes. So this is called a barrel bit. I hope you can see that. And basically the barrel, it's a barrel. It's even from this way to this way. It's just a cylinder. They come in different sizes, and they also come in different grits. So like our standard files that are medium, fine, coarse, medium, and fine, these have the same finish. So this is a medium one. I can tell by touching it. And these ones are great for shortening, finishing. It's sort of your workhorse bit, the barrel bit. This is my favourite bit in the universe, and this is called the buffer barrel. You need to own this thing. Oh my God, it's so brilliant. And it's really brilliant for finishing the nail and taking all the fine demarcations out of the nail afterwards. I just want to say one thing on that. Electric files get a bad rap, and that's because we've seen lots of damage. We've all heard about the rings of fire, and in the industry where people, are incorrectly trained and cause damage to the nails. You can cause as much damage, and you can actually cause rings of fire with a hand file. The thing is that the machine doesn't have a personality, and it doesn't it'll just keep running. As long as there's power and as long as that button's on, it'll keep running. Whereas when we're filing and the client says, ouch, you kind of stop. But if the client says, ouch, when you're electric filing, the machine doesn't hear that, and it just keeps on going. So we have to learn to read our clients. And at finishing, we know with acrylic we're supposed to not do any coarse filing on our enhancement up to 24 hours while it's still curing. But if you use the electric file oil developed by Miss Lisa Comfort, my mentor and friend, afterwards you just put that on, then that acts like a buffer, not a high shine buffer, but like a buffer that it's a cushion between the enhancement and the bit, and it helps to refine and restrict any micro shattering in the nail. So this is very important. Okay, so this is my favourite bit because it brings out the shine, the finish in the nail. Then we have this one. This is a taper bit. So basically a taper bit is wider at the bottom and tapers, and these are good for doing around the cuticle area and getting any lifted pockets. They come in different grits and also different diameters at the end. Then we have what's called a bullet, and the bullet has been designed to be sharp on one end and it's designed to clean underneath the nail. Now, I personally believe that if you're going to clean underneath the nail, and there's a natural nail there, that you open it up to become porous as soon as you put a file on it. So again, I use my electric file oil, I put a couple of drops there and it acts as a buffer so I can clean underneath the nail without damaging that natural nail, because natural nail health is my #1 priority. It's also designed so that it's not going to damage the hypernicum. Even though it's really sharp, when you put it in underneath there, it's so sharp that it's not going to design. So you're going to keep the integrity of the hypernicum underneath the nail there. Okay, so the only other shape that I just want to talk about as well is another bit that was developed by my friend Lisa, and this is the French fill bit, and this is designed for cutting out the French line and refining it so that you can lay new product. Kind of similar to how we do our reverse technique, and this comes in several different sizes, and it's also really handy for pocket lifting as well. Okay, so then the same thing with the carbide bits. They pretty much have similar sorts of shapes. This one's called a football shape. You can sort of see that it almost looks like that building in London where it's thin at the top and finer at the bottom. A true football will come thin at the top, wider, and then thin. I don't really like that shape. This one, as I said, was my favourite. This is a safety bit. So at the top, it's rounded, and this is a great bit for finishing. It's a great bit for getting lifting off. I love this bit. So make sure you ask Miss Grace about these. They're awesome. Then, if you are going to bring it to a high shine, there are two methods. You have a chamois buffer, which is made out of leather, and a cotton one. You do need some sort of medium to make it shine, and you also need to be very careful not to burn your client, because you get a lot of heat with friction with the leather. So just watch that. Okay, so I hope that helps. Now, the only other thing I want to say is, how do you clean your bits? You know me, hygiene Nazi. I will always spray my bits. Even if I've sanitised them, I will always spray sanitise them before I use them, just using my anti-bac spray from Cuccio. But all I do when I'm at the table, as soon as the bit comes out, it goes straight into this little dappen dish, which is full with pure acetone, and then I just close that off and I'll come back to it. At the end of the day, I'll scrub them and disinfect them, but pretty much nothing grows in acetone, so I always think it's a good plan. Remember, gel won't soak off that way, so don't use diamond bits with your gel, and that's all I can think of. So I hope that helps. I'm sure that I've just tried to condense, a whole 3-hour class into 5 seconds, but I hope it helps you, and our team are really well trained in what bit's good for what. So just remember that a barrel bit isn't the be-all and end-all. It's definitely a staple, but you should use different tools for different things. There are a lot of, one thing I just wanted to say before I go, is there are a lot of specialised bits for manicuring the natural nail and cuticle, and perhaps I'll do a demonstration on what I like to do with my natural nail manicure, and to do that safety in coming videos. So let me know if you'd like to see that, because I do prep my natural nail right from the word go, and I do all my cuticle work with my electric file, so but I do that safely, no damage to the natural nail or the cuticle. So if you'd like to see that, let me know. I hope this helps. If you've got any questions, sing out. If you don't know what a bit is designed to do, send me a picture and I'll let you know what that bit is designed to do. And I hope to see you in a class soon. Please like and share. I'll see you next week. Lots of love.